The reason things haven't shown up yet isn't because something outside is broken. It's not about changing a person, getting the right job, making more money, or waiting for some sign from the universe. That's the trap almost everyone falls into, thinking reality will finally shift when the right person texts back, when the paycheck increases, or when something obvious happens in the physical world. But the truth is, none of that comes first. The outer world doesn't create your inner world. It's the exact opposite. Everything starts with you. Not the version of you that's waiting, wishing, or watching for proof, but the version of you who already has it. That's the secret that flips everything upside down. Most people are trying to force something to happen instead of becoming the version of themselves who already lives in that reality. And that one shift, just that, changes everything. It sounds strange at first because people are used to reacting to the world as it is. If something isn't happening, they believe it's not meant to be or that they need to try harder. But trying harder in the outer world only reinforces the belief that it's missing. If someone spends the whole day checking their phone, hoping for a message, what they're really doing is feeding the version of themselves that's still waiting. That version doesn't feel prioritized. That version doesn't feel chosen or abundant. That version feels like something's missing. And that's exactly what gets reflected back. It's never about what another person is doing or not doing. It's never about whether the bank account updates or the opportunities roll in. It's always about what someone is being on the inside. And here's the part that's going to shatter a lot of old beliefs. The goal was never to have the desire in the 3D first. The real goal is to feel so fulfilled and secure in the inner world that there's no more desperation or craving. It's not about tricking the universe or testing if something's working. It's about fully becoming the version of self that already has it, already lives it, already knows it's done. Because when that shift happens, there's no more needing to chase, no more looking for signs, no more waiting for confirmation. The outer world just starts to align naturally. Not because of effort, but because the identity behind the desire has finally changed. And that's where the real power lies. Imagine someone walking into a room and staring at the mirror, begging it to smile back. They're not smiling, but they want the reflection to smile first so they can feel happy. Sounds silly, right? But that's exactly how people treat the 3D world. They wait for it to reflect something different before they change how they feel or who they believe they are. But the 3D is just a mirror. It doesn't lead, it follows. It reflects what's already been assumed inside. And that's the biggest mistake people make. They believe the change must come from outside when all along it was an inside job. It was always about shifting awareness. Awareness is the key. Not action, not waiting, not hustling for results. Just awareness. Because what someone is aware of, over and over again, becomes what they experience. And this is where the magic actually begins. The moment attention is taken off the lack and moved toward the version of self that already has the desire, everything begins to shift. It might not show instantly in the outer world, but it's already happening beneath the surface. Reality has no choice but to catch up to what's persistently felt on the inside. But here's the tricky part. Most people say they're manifesting, but they're really just thinking about how much they don't have something. They say affirmations, visualize, or script, but the whole time, they're emotionally stuck in lack. They're saying I am chosen, but deep down they still feel rejected. They're imagining abundance, but checking their bank app every 10 minutes. And that's not really living in the end. That's trying to force the mirror to change before changing the face it's reflecting. So the shift has to start with identity. Not thoughts, not actions, identity. The one who already has the desire wouldn't even be checking, hoping, or doubting. That version wouldn't be counting days or overthinking what's working. That version already knows it's done. And when that version becomes the dominant state, when it's embodied fully and naturally, the mirror can't help but reflect it. That's how reality works. The 3D isn't the problem. The problem is forgetting that it's only a mirror and giving it more power than it deserves. Stop looking at the mirror for proof and start showing it something new. That's how it begins to shift. Most people have it backward. They think they'll finally believe something is theirs after they see it in front of them. They think once they get the relationship, the money, the opportunity, then they'll feel secure, happy, or chosen. But that's not how manifestation works. The outer world doesn't deliver first. Belief comes first. The shift happens when it's already real inside. That means choosing to live in the assumption that it's done. Not because of what's happening outside, but because that's who you are now. That's the identity that leads everything else. And the most freeing part is this. Once the identity shifts, once you really believe it's done, there's no need to constantly check for it anymore. Just like someone with long hair doesn't wake up every day needing to confirm it in the mirror, someone who truly feels abundant or loved doesn't wake up looking for evidence of it in their phone or in their bank balance. It just becomes a part of who they are. It becomes normal, and that's what allows it to show up more easily, because it's no longer being chased or doubted. There's no resistance in the state of already having. But getting to that place doesn't mean ignoring what's around. It means reinterpreting it. If something hasn't shown up yet, it doesn't mean it's not coming. It doesn't mean anything's gone wrong. It just means the mirror hasn't caught up yet. The real question is, are you willing to persist in the assumption, even if nothing around you is confirming it yet? That's where most people fall off. They assume something for a day or two, then go back to their old thoughts when the 3D doesn't change. But that's like planting a seed and digging it up every morning to check if it's growing. True belief isn't loud. It doesn't beg or look around for clues. It's quiet, calm, and grounded. It lives in imagination and feels safe there. When that belief becomes natural, the outside begins to organize itself in ways that don't even make sense logically. You meet the right person unexpectedly. The money shows up in a way you couldn't have planned. The opportunities open up without forcing anything. Not because you chased it, but because you stopped looking for it. You became it. So, no, you don't need to wait for the evidence to believe. You need to believe so deeply in the reality within you that the evidence can't help but show up, because you've already decided it's yours. That's not delusion. That's creation. There's a version of you who doesn't need to check, doesn't need to chase, doesn't need to ask, is it working? Every 5 minutes. That version is real. That version already exists in the imagination. The question is, are you willing to step into that version fully? Not just for a few minutes while visualizing or affirming, but as a way of living, thinking, and being, even if nothing outside is different yet. Because when someone stops looking, it's not out of frustration or giving up. It's because there's a quiet knowing that it's already theirs. The desire is already accepted. And once it's accepted internally, it's no longer treated like a goal in the future. It's part of the identity now. That's where people start noticing their desires show up with no effort, no pushing, and no strategy. They stopped being the version that needs something, and they became the version who already has it, and the world responded accordingly. That's why so many people say manifestation feels anticlimactic. When it finally happens, they don't feel surprised or overly excited. They feel peaceful, sometimes even neutral, because they already lived that experience internally so many times that it feels familiar. It doesn't feel new. It feels normal. That's how you know the shift happened before the 3D changed. So the goal isn't to get the thing. The real goal is to become the version of yourself who no longer needs it to show up, because it's already accepted as part of your identity. There's no longer a question of when. There's only the feeling of already. And the moment you're grounded in that, the checking stops, the needing stops, and the resistance disappears. This doesn't mean pretending or faking. It means returning to what's always been true in the imagination. Living from that truth over and over until it feels more real than anything else. Until you stop needing signs and start becoming the sign. Until you stop asking, where is it? And start remembering, it's already mine. When that version of you becomes the most natural place to live from, everything else falls into place without effort. Because the world isn't responding to what you want. It's responding to who you are. The moment everything starts to shift is the moment things become calm. It's not the excitement of seeing results, and it's not the panic of needing them to show up. It's the stillness in between. That soft, quiet confidence that doesn't need proof anymore. That's when it starts to manifest. Because the calm state is the state of someone who already knows. It's not empty. It's not passive. It's full of certainty. It's the absence of lack. This is what most people miss. They confuse being calm with not caring. But it's not that. It's caring so deeply that there's no longer a need to worry about it. It's already done. There's nothing more to chase or search for. The desire has already been claimed, lived, and accepted on the inside. And when the mind rests in that, it becomes magnetic. There's no effort left. No resistance, no impatience, just peace. And that peace is powerful, because from that place, the mirror of the 3D world doesn't rattle you anymore. If something happens, you don't spiral or question yourself. You stay grounded in the truth of who you are. You keep choosing the version of you that already has what you used to want. And that version doesn't need to control anything. That version doesn't need constant reassurance. That version doesn't look for signs, because the sign has always been you. So if the outer world is slow to change, let it be. Don't rush it. Don't panic. That doesn't mean it's not working. It means it's still reflecting who you used to be. The mirror takes time to update, but the more you remain in the new state, the faster it begins to catch up. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to persist in the knowing that it's already yours. And let that be enough. Let imagination lead. Let belief be enough. Because once you stop looking, you're no longer doubting. You're no longer searching. You're already living from it. And that's when it shows up. So the question isn't how do I make it happen? The real question is, am I willing to stop looking for it and start living like it's already mine? That's where the shift happens. That's where the mirror finally starts to reflect the new version of you. If this made something click today, drop a comment below and let's talk about what version of you you're stepping into. You've got this. It was always within you.